Hello, welcome back to Real Opinions. It's Ben here with a review of Warner Brothers' latest remake of the King Kong legend, Kong Skull Island. It seems kind of crazy that there's another King Kong movie already, considering Peter Jackson's remake that came out in 2005, won a whole bunch of Oscars and was fairly well known and actually really, really good as well. So 12 years later, another one seems a bit strange, but Kong Skull Island does try its best to be as different from the others as possible. It ditches the kind of 1920s, 30s setting, completely throws away the New York set third act. There's no dinosaurs here either. There's no Empire State Building. Kong himself is a lot bigger than in previous installments. And the basic idea is that it's going for not only kind of the classic monster movie and really kind of going for the monster movie vibe, but it's also much more of a Vietnam-based war film as well. Set in the early 1970s, just as the Vietnam War is ending, it follows Tom Hiddleston as a former SAS jungle tracker who's tasked by a kind of a weird scientific organization called Monarch, run by John Goodman, who want to go to Skull Island to kind of try and track the terrain because it's such a lost place that no one has ever really been to before. They take with them a team of American soldiers led by Samuel L. Jackson and also a wartime photographer, Brie Larson, as well, who kind of wants to follow the adventures of the team and kind of chart their business with photography. Obviously, when they get there, they find they're not alone. King Kong, this giant prehistoric ape, is there. And when I say giant this time, he is giant. It's not like kind of Peter Jackson's King Kong or even the 1933 original. This Kong is basically as big as a building itself. So hence why he probably never really climbs one. And it makes sense in the grand scheme of things because this is obviously kind of Legendary and Warner Brothers trying to set up their own monster universe, and this is kind of exists in the same world as Godzilla. So it makes sense that Kong is as big as Godzilla, especially if they're planning to do the crossover movie in 2020 as planned. Realistically, this is the most kind of monstrous Kong has been as well. Although he's always kind of got into fights with other creatures before, and there was famously in the 1960s another King Kong versus Godzilla movie. Here, it's kind of the perfect balance between the two of them. He's just huge enough to be a proper movie monster, but has just enough kind of sympathy and enough emotion to be grounded enough so that we really feel for him. And of course, this is kind of Kong's movie as well, which a lot of other kind of films, monster movies anyway, don't really seem to realise. Godzilla, the latest Gareth Edwards movie in 2014, famously didn't show Godzilla for large portions of its runtime. Kong Skull Island is very much the opposite. The movie is Kong's movie. If anything, the human characters kind of take the backseat a lot of the time. Kong is in this movie from the first 5 minutes onwards, really, and it's really, really great to see that kind of level of intimacy with a creature and the fact that they're really, really going for it with the designs as well. The monster fights are totally badass. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of incredible cinematography as well. The effects look amazing. If I had one kind of point to pick with this movie, really, it's that although the human characters are very much the backseat spectators to a lot of the action in this film, a lot of the time they feel a bit uneven. For the most part, they're okay. Brie Larson's photographer is a nice kind of update of the whole Fay Wray legend. She's not a damsel in distress at all, really. She kind of just goes about and does her thing. Whereas a lot of people are saying she doesn't have a lot to do here. To be fair, most of the human characters don't really have a lot to do. A lot of the scientists in this movie, Corey Hawkins and John Goodman, once they get to the island, they kind of feel pretty pointless. Samuel L. Jackson is the only one with a real arc here. Toby Kebbell's kind of in the background a bit, but again doesn't really do much. And Tom Hiddleston is this big kind of Stallone-style action hero. And whilst he's kind of miscast in that sense because he's a bit too kind of witty and charming to be this kind of big bulking war hero, at the same time, even if he was that way, he would still feel kind of pointless because a lot of the characters just kind of look after themselves. He seems to spend a lot of time running around trying to save people who don't really need saving. So John C. Reilly's fairly good in this film. He's kind of the comic relief. And again, the comedy never really feels forced. It's a good kind of tonal shift between the darkness of Kong fighting the island's other creatures and the kind of more lightheartedness of the whole adventure movie itself. The other creatures on the island are also very, very well designed. it gets down to the fact that as a monster movie, this is very, very good. It's the moments where it's not so much of a monster movie where things kind of start to peel back a little bit, where they obviously realised to reach a more kind of mainstream Hollywood crowd, they had to dial it back and make it a bit more human, which is understandable. It's just those sections don't work as clearly as Kong fighting giant creatures. On the whole, I'm going to give Kong Skull Island an 8 out of 10. It's thoroughly enjoyable, ridiculously fun at the best of times, has a very, very cool kind of glint to it. It's nice that they kind of went a completely different route than the usual King Kong kind of ideals, and the Vietnam Apocalypse Now style setting really works. Sometimes the Heart of Darkness stuff does feel a little bit kind of forced down the throat because there's a lot of it, but it is kind of a nice twist on it all, and it's really the best huge scale monster movie we've had in quite a long time as well. So thank you for watching, as always, and look out for more Real Opinions reviews in the future. Goodbye.